The AFT was founded, as many of you know, on April 15th in 1916. And April 15th is actually an important day for my family as well. It was on that day in 1964 that my father, who had been serving as the secretary of the United Federation of Teachers, was nominated for the first time to run for president. That moment, as my dad was rooting himself deeper into the labor movement, my mom was in the back of the room and found herself also going into labor because she was pregnant with me, and I was born by that day's end. I'm so honored to be here today to celebrate the AFT's 100th anniversary, to talk about my father, and to speak more generally to this convention's theme, generation to generation. Many of the union brothers and sisters that my dad worked with came from labor families. I was so touched on the first day of the convention to hear Randy talk about her parents. And I have to give a shout out to a number of people, and I can't cover everyone, but George Altamari from the United Federation of Teachers, who is here today. His mom worked with my grandmother, Mamie Shanker, and George and my dad worked as brothers side by side from the very beginning. Phil Kugler, as Nat just mentioned, his dad co-founded the Professional Staff Congress at CUNY. Loretta's son, I know, is in the movement. Ed's daughter, Liz, works at the AFL-CIO. Jessica Humphrey is the daughter of Greg Humphrey, another dear friend and colleague of my father's. From generation to generation, we do as those of us before have done. We agitate, we organize, and we fight for ourselves and for working people. We recognize inequality, and we don't sit down. I can't talk about my father and honoring the past without talking about his mother, Mamie Shanker. As a new immigrant to this country, she worked in sweatshops, working long, exhausting days for wages that kept their family poor and wanting. My grandmother eventually joined the Amalgamated Clothing Workers Union and the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. And like everyone in this room, through the union, she was able to enjoy better wages, benefits, safer working conditions, and she was able to have a voice in the workplace. When my dad started school, he only spoke Yiddish. His youth was not a pleasant one. He was 6 foot tall in elementary school, and he was not athletic. He faced regular bullying due to anti-Semitism. And at one point, a group of children in the neighborhood he was actually lynched by a number of kids in the neighborhood, and his sister Pearl, my Aunt Pearl, saved him. So as the child of immigrant parents, my dad recognized how education in this country acted as a great equalizer and offered everyone an equal chance to develop and succeed as an individual in society. He was in his mid-20s when he started teaching, earning about $50 a week. And to put that in perspective, his mother at the union shop that she was working in, sewing shop, was making 4 times that. Many teachers in the system were full-time substitutes at that time. They were paid less than regular teachers, and they received no benefits. So my father experienced many of the same things that I experience today as an adjunct faculty member. My parents met at a union meeting. My dad was organizing in New York by going to schools to explain a pension benefits package, a new pension package. And my mom attended one of these meetings and listened to him talk about the things that a union could do. And she raised her hand, she said, "Mr. Shanker, how many members are in this union?" And he responded, he said, 2,000. And she said, how do you do the things you're talking about with 2,000 members? And he said, "It's not the members that count, it's what you stand for." And this was central to my father's understanding of the union. Years later, he titled his column in the New York Times, "Where We Stand." And he didn't think that teachers should just be standing up for other teachers. He broadened the range of professions that the union represented. He would often say, we should be called the American Federation of Creatures. He knew that all union members were professionals, and he hated snobbery, which he recognized as a root of unequal treatment. He understood that teachers were one part of a larger network of professionals who needed to work in solidarity with each other, operating as part of a structure that supported education in a healthy democratic society. Municipal workers, nurses, paraprofessionals, teachers, both K through 12 and higher ed, are not independent of each other in the big picture. You'd never know it from the comfort and authority that he projected in situations like this, but my dad was actually a pretty shy guy. If he didn't know you, he didn't know how to make small talk. But he would step up to this microphone with a napkin that had a few words on it. And he could express himself so beautifully, long, eloquent speeches that were pragmatic, yet passionate and highly persuasive. Unlike my father, my expression has taken a different form. I've always known that I'd be an artist and a teacher, but I never thought I'd be a union organizer. And though I know my dad would be proud of the work that I've been involved in, organizing in higher ed, he would hate what drove me to it. He'd hate the conditions that I and my colleagues face, and the fact that they have so many similarities to those that he faced as a beginning teacher and that his mother faced in the factory. Substandard compensation, long hours, unequitable, two-tiered salary structures, no benefits. As someone who loved teaching, I had to either stand up and fight or leave this profession. And I wanted to fight, but nobody can do this on their own. And I am so grateful that the AFT came to my city to form the United Academics of Philadelphia, and that my university has a great AFT union, the Temple Association of University Professionals, and that after a very tough fight in the past year for adjuncts, that union now represents all of the university's faculty. I remember being little, being in the audience here with my mom and my brothers, Adam and Michael, and I'd see my dad appear on stage, and I'd be back there and I'd wonder if he could see me too. And standing up here today confirms what I came to realize, that he couldn't see us individually, but he could, you could look out and he knew who was here. And I look out at you here today, and I feel his presence, and I feel his loss. And I think about the landmark anniversary that this union has achieved. I think about this room and the work that you are all doing, the people who came before you, and those who came before them, and those before them, going back 100 years. We're all here. And I want to end my talk by honoring each of you and your families and your ancestors who brought you to this place. We are a family. We are working generation to generation. There is a reason why we call each other brothers and sisters. This is tough, essential work, and I know that everyone here has made sacrifices in their lives to do it. I want to say that this is even truer when it comes to union leaders, as I know from watching my father's work. I've watched people see Randy Weingarten up here for their first time. Randy inspires people, and she has an incredible energy level. It's just through the roof, as you know. the stamina that it takes to do what she is doing, leading this union, is remarkable. She makes it look easy, but you know the level of devotion that she has to this work also comes at a cost. So Randy, I want to thank you. And on this 100th anniversary, let's all recognize and thank our predecessors, our families, our brothers and sisters who are all here with us today as we celebrate this great union.